it is a lot. Rish, why is it that you are one of the agents mwenye anapatanga a lot of visas? Trust you me, visa hainanga connection, but visa inajua connection moja inaitwa maombi. You see, prayers and manifesting, it does work. Right now, I'm headed to Heaven's Gate for 2 to 3 days. And I had to carry a passport so that I can tell God, Mungu, kila passport ambayo itapitia kwa mikono yangu isikose kutimiza ndoto ya huyo mtu. So if this, I don't know nani, I just took it from the office. I did not want to carry mine because I've carried mine severally, but I just told God, Mungu, hii yenye nimebeba, unaona hii yenye nimebeba, ifungulie milango passports zingine zote ambazo nitazipata. And you know what? Trust you me, I will get those visas.
You may know Rish Kamunge from the Kenyan TikTok space. On the platform, before she was arrested, she showcased different facets of her life as a gospel musician and as a businesswoman living a lavish lifestyle, while offering blue-collar job opportunities abroad to young Kenyans through her company, TrustPin Verified Agency. Through her agency, she promised to connect young Kenyans with jobs in countries like Romania, Mauritius, Canada, Luxembourg, and others. However, these jobs turned out to be nothing than hot air, and in late March of 2025, she was arrested for allegedly running a fake overseas job recruitment scam through her agency and for obtaining millions by false pretenses. Welcome to Masters of Illusions, Act 1 of the Con Nation series. This is a story of Rish Kamunge and how her promises of overseas jobs ultimately landed her in jail. Maria Wangari Kamunge, popularly known as Rish Kamunge, first went viral around April of 2023 after she shared a story of how she had lost 120,000 Kenyan shillings in the Nairobi CBD. In the story, she shared how the money had been given to her by her father for her to start a business. Her father had just traveled to Nairobi to hand her the cash. And after they met, she headed towards the stage to take a matatu back to where she lived. That's where things went wrong. According to Rish, she was approached by an elderly woman about 80 years old. She says the elderly woman, who was with someone else, stopped her to ask for directions. She doesn't remember much after that because she woke up later with the money and other belongings which were on her, like her laptop, phone, and house keys gone. The story blew up and was even picked up by YouTubers and local blogs. People genuinely felt for her. They genuinely felt for her. Beyond this story that went viral, her followers on social media also grew because online, she comes off as relatable, well-spoken, and inspiring, as she shares motivation with her followers, especially through gospel songs of her own and those of others. By having a sizable following online, this attracted brands who partnered with her for her to market their products and services. One of the brands she partnered with was a travel and jobs abroad recruitment agency. She announced this partnership on her Facebook account back on 19th September 2023. We are intentionally not naming the agency as we have not been able to independently confirm whether it's a legitimate operation. This brand deal is the earliest link we could trace between Rish and a jobs abroad recruitment agency. It's also likely that this partnership is what inspired her to start a similar agency of her own called TrustPin Verified Agency. We could trace TrustPin's earliest operation to January of 2024. With her own company up and running, Rish began presenting herself to her followers as a trustworthy avenue to jobs abroad, something many Kenyans were desperately looking for, especially with a high number of agencies already known for scamming job seekers. She went over and beyond to position TrustPin Verified Agency as the real deal. She even created videos advising potential job applicants and agents on industry best practices. For example, in one of the videos posted on Facebook on 31st January 2024, she advised her viewers that if they are paying an agency to handle their visa applications, they should not be charged for access to the visa application platform's login details. What stands out in this video is a comment under it, whereby a woman says that Rish looks trustworthy and because of that, she would begin her son's visa application through her. This shows how fast people are willing to commit based on what they see online. Perception is everything online. Rish also began advertising blue-collar job opportunities abroad through her agency in early 2024. But according to the National Employment Authority database, Trustbeam verified agency's operating certificate only became valid on 13th June 2024. This means that for some time, slightly over 5 months, the agency appears to have been operating before receiving the required approvals to facilitate overseas employment. Trustbeam verified agency took off quickly. It opened branches in Nairobi and Nakuru, and Rish had a team of employees helping her run the day-to-day operations. It looked like a legit operation, with a trustworthy CEO, sales agents, and a steady pipeline of blue-collar job opportunities in countries like Canada, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Malta, Norway, Mauritius, and other countries. These job openings were advertised through Rish's personal social media pages, as well as her agency's social media accounts. Each post listed not just the job, where it was based, the salary, but also the amount an applicant was expected to pay to the agency as commission and registration/facilitation fees. For example, the Dubai jobs advertised in June of 2024, the applicant would pay a whopping 110,000 Kenyan shillings to the agency, 100,000 Kenyan shillings being the commission, and 10,000 Kenyan shillings as registration and facilitation fees. For a barista position in Saudi Arabia advertised in October of 2024, the applicant would have to pay 150,000 Kenyan shillings in commission. And for jobs in Mauritius advertised in February of 2025, came at the same price of 150,000 Kenyan shillings. These were hefty commission fees, especially for her target audience, who are Kenyans struggling to make ends meet. Despite the hefty fees, the business seemed to be doing very well. By October of 2024, Rish had even opened a third branch in Mombasa. Around the same time, she also had a noticeable glow-up, living the big life. This business, which was later alleged to be a scam, seemed to be doing so well because there was a formula behind it. Going through the social media posts now, you definitely pick up on the said formula. First and foremost, in a sector riddled with con stories, Rish built credibility by presenting her agency as the real deal. She did this, for example, by posting videos of herself traveling to countries like Mauritius, showing that she was personally scouting for the jobs she advertised online. She also showed passports claiming that the agency had successfully facilitated their visa approvals. Secondly, the Trustbeam verified agency had impeccable marketing. This included paid ads on social media, bringing on a well-known influencer as a brand ambassador, cross-posting content across multiple social media platforms, sharing testimonials from individuals who are claimed to have successfully landed jobs through the agency, and much more. Their marketing was really, really good. Thirdly, Rish sold aspiration to her followers by sharing snippets of her life with them, and it was a lavish lifestyle. As the founder and a CEO of a jobs abroad agency targeting young Kenyans desperate for work, this signaled to her audience that, hey, you can be like me. Trust me, I have what it takes to get you there. It also signaled to them, I have my own money, so you can trust me with yours. Rish added yet another layer of credibility to her business by showcasing her religious side, especially as a gospel musician. For many of her followers, her religious side made her seem more trustworthy. Lastly, Rish promised quick turnarounds for job placements abroad. In some cases involving opportunities in Mauritius, she claimed that successful applicants would be able to travel within just 2 weeks. Just think about it. For a desperate job seeker, that kind of promise is simply irresistible. It creates the impression that the only barrier between them and a flight to greener pastures is them making that payment to trust pin verified agency. This kind of advertising signals, pay today, have your bags packed in a week, and in paradise making good money in 2 weeks. It's also worth noting just how successful Rish's business had become. She even started selling her own Coca-Cola formula. She started selling courses where she promised to teach people how to apply for visas on behalf of others and charged 40,000 Kenyan shillings per person for these sessions. It all sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it was, and soon Rish found herself in serious legal trouble. On Wednesday, 26th March 2025, some of the young people who claimed she had sold hot air to them in the guise of well-paying jobs abroad ambushed her at her office in the Nairobi CBD, carried out a citizen's arrest, and handed her over to the police at the Central Police Station. The young people who showed up at her office alleged victims of her scam. They all have devastating stories of how they were allegedly scammed. For example, some individuals who traveled all the way to Mauritius through her agency reported finding themselves stranded at the airport without assistance and were ultimately deported to Kenya. A few of them shared their detailed accounts of what happened with local publications. For example, a woman named Faith told Tuko that she first paid 80,000 Kenyan shillings as a down payment to the Trustpin verified agency, and later added 145,000 Kenyan shillings for flight tickets for a job in Mauritius. Faith says she was told that Rish was in Mauritius and that the jobs were ready. However, when she got to Mauritius, she and others traveling from Kenya were unable to get hold of Rish and were denied entry by immigration due to documentation issues. They were reportedly stranded at the airport for 3 long days before being deported to Kenya. Another individual, Eric, told Tuko that he paid nearly 500,000 Kenyan shillings for a relative to secure a job in Mauritius through Rish's agency, only for them to fly to Mauritius, be denied entry, and sent back to Kenya. A third person, Joki, claimed to have paid nearly 200,000 Kenyan shillings for a job in Mauritius, but also never got the promised job placement and was deported. As for Cynthia, she told the Nation newspaper that in July of 2024, she had paid the agency 200,000 Kenyan shillings for what she believed was a domestic staff job in Poland. According to her account, for 3 months the agency went quiet, and when she followed up, she was reportedly told there was no vacancy in Poland and was asked to choose another country. She chose Luxembourg. Cynthia says that the agency then applied for a tourist visa on her behalf instead of a work visa and sent her to the Luxembourg embassy in Nairobi for the visa application interview. She claims that she failed the interview, reportedly because the officials were not convinced she would return to Kenya. She also alleges that the hotel listed as her accommodation in the visa application did not have her registered as a guest. After the failed interview, Cynthia says she requested a refund from Trustpin verified agency, but her requests were not honored. She also alleges that when she visited the agency to follow up on the refund, she was physically removed from the premises. These are just 3 of the 43 individuals who claim that Rish Kamunge, through her Trustpin verified agency, allegedly defrauded them of a total of 12.9 million Kenyan shillings. Rish Kamunge has denied any wrongdoing. She was charged with obtaining money by false pretenses and she was released on bond on Friday 28 March 2025. But here is the thing. Despite the ongoing case against her after her release, Rish continued to promote jobs abroad visa applications. For example, in a Facebook reel posted in August of 2025, she advertised jobs in Romania. In another post, she promoted visa applications for Canada, Schengen countries, China, and domestic staff positions in Romania. In one specific post, on 8th August 2025, she wrote, "Ignore the critics. I do visa applications for Canada, Schengen, USA, China, talk to me," and included a phone number which is simply unbelievable. The case is still ongoing and we'll be sure to update you on its progress. Also, as we wrap up, there are countless cases of Kenyans being scammed by agencies promising jobs abroad, so please exercise caution in your engagement with them. Thank you for joining us today. If you made it this far, we hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up, like, share, or comment. It really goes a long way in helping us keep the lights on. In the meantime, remember, anyone can be a scammer and anyone can be scammed. So please take care, stay safe, and always trust your